Hey everyone, welcome back to our MCU Phase 3 review, Part 2. Yeah, usually I have a whole spiel. We're going to skip past that right now. Let's move on. Let's go right into the biggest movie to ever come out at this point, Avengers Infinity War. If you remember all the ads, it says it all has led to this. And it did. And what'd you boys think? Nat?
I th- ooh, I got the
Ooh.
cold shoulder. I got the cold shoulder. Okay, okay.
Oh,
I
okay,
see how it
okay.
is. I see how it is.
Yes, first things first. Infinity War, darkest movie I've ever seen up to date, like up to this point. The opening scene where all the Asgardians get slaughtered by Thanos, including Hulk getting destroyed, Loki being like killed. Man, Loki stayed true to his character to the very end and still died for it.
Yep.
And then the way that Thor got overpowered so easily, and I don't know, it was a very, very dark opening. I guess this is gonna be more of a side note, but Vision and Wanda being a thing kind of confused me a bit. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about someone falling in love with like an android AI being that has a physical form. I don't know, it seems kind of weird to me, but
Did the human face help at all? When he had the
is it
human
really?
face?
Is it really though? It's like
Nah, it's
red
like a
and like
cover up. No, but I mean like
like
when he looked like a human for a bit at the beginning when they
okay,
first
well,
come in.
yes, but I mean like it wasn't like at the beginning though, right? There had to be
No,
something that
true.
sparked between. Yeah, no, it just seems kind of weird to me, but
Fair
no
enough.
judgment is
Love prevails,
2021.
Nathaniel. Love
Fair enough.
prevails.
Yeah. Oh, final thing I really want to say is dang it, Quill, you had one job and one job only. Um, oh, Endgame would have never happened if Quill did his job.
Yet they
If
make
he
a
didn't
joke about
flip,
that.
but you know what? It gave us more movies, so you know what? I guess we can't be too salty about that.
Nah. Awesome.
Aside from the fact that we lost a whole bunch of characters in said movie, but that's not an issue.
Nah, it's just half the cast, whatever. 50% of the
Yeah.
human population, whatever.
Yeah, that. I was talking more about Black Widow jumping off.
Oh, that too.
That was cool. We're gonna get there though. I'm getting ahead of myself.
But
But I like this movie. I like this movie a lot. I just realized I completely mocked Sebastian on accident, so that's bonus
Wonderful.
points for me. But honestly, we get some really cool looks at a whole bunch of different characters in not a lot of time. Like it's a long movie, not as long as Endgame, but it's still like there's like 4 different sort of mini storylines that all connect back to each other, but they all are doing their own thing. It's really cool to sort of get a look at, okay, so you got this group of characters doing this, you got this group of characters doing this, right? You got Spider-Man, who's super smart, flying into space with no source of oxygen, just willy-nilly. Like we learned so much about so many different characters and sort of where their breaking point is. And then obviously Mr. Doctor Strange meeting Iron Man was fantastic, to be expected, right? And just there's so much action and so much going on. It's fantastic. Honestly, Thor should have gone for the head as well. So I think we can blame this on both captains of the Guardians of the Galaxy. That's all I got.
Yeah.
Or sorry,
Fair enough.
not Rocket. My bad.
Not
Okay.
Rocket. Yes. No, Rabbit.
Oh yeah.
Rabbit.
Yes. No, I I love this movie. This is like top 4 or top 3 for me, Marvel Cinematic Universe. I remember the TV spots and the ads that were coming out. They just had me so hyped.
Yep.
I never expected the Avengers to lose. Couldn't have paid me money to make that prediction, but
Nope.
still, like you said, it's like action from the very beginning. You got Loki gets killed at the beginning, and everyone's like, and then you've got a great action scene taking place in New York with Doctor Strange, Wong, the Hulk, though he doesn't really do much, and Iron Man, who's got like this awesome nanotech suit. And then, like you said, they were tasked. The directors of this movie, the Russo brothers, were tasked with like 40 some characters and said, make a movie that gives each one a moment, and they did it. Everyone gets a moment to have a good action scene. They all get some cool dialogue, some funny moments. Like, no, they did a really good job at balancing all these different storylines taking place on different places. And what really connects it is actually Thanos and his quest for the Infinity Stones. Because really, what happens in Wakanda is not affecting what's happening on Titan with the Guardians and Iron Man and them. But they're all connected because they're stopping the same threat, or at least trying to.
Yep.
And I just think it's like Matt said, it's the darkest we ever get. You've got a 16, 15-year-old Peter Parker dying in the arms of his mentor. You've got teenage Groot dying in front of his father in Rocket.
Yep.
You've got like all these characters just snapped out of existence. And no, I think it does a really good job. It ends on a somber note, which we've never really seen for any Marvel movie, but especially not an Avengers movie. And I love this movie. I think it does a great job.
Yep.
In my opinion, best scene in the movie, Thor comes to Wakanda, bring me Thanos. Just he saves their butts, and then he gets the most epic moment of the movie. So,
yeah,
yes,
I would add that yes, you said that there's so many characters in this movie, and the best way I can envision that is when you were a little kid and you had too many things to carry, you put them in your shirt and you like rolled your shirt up and then you walked wherever you had to go. That's pretty much what the Russo brothers were tasked with. Marvel was like, okay, I have this enormous cast. Here you go, do something with it. And they just sort of like, okay, you five are gonna go here and do this. And then we're gonna write this part, right? But they did such a good job of bringing it together, right? So I thought it was fantastic.
I mean, they were lucky to have done Civil War right before it, so they had a little bit of experience balancing a lot of characters.
Yeah.
Speaking of one of those many Civil War characters who did not appear in Avengers Endgame or Infinity War, let's move right along to see how Ant-Man and his new pal, the Wasp, are doing in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Oh,
objection.
oops.
Objection in the court.
Didn't say the rating.
Would you like to give us our rating, Sebastian, before we breeze
Our
by
rating
that for
for
the
that
third
one,
time?
For a third time, 9.3. We gave that one a 9.3. Love that movie. Sorry for you folks who are like, what was their actual number? Now on to Ant-Man and his new pal, the Wasp. So Ant-Man and the Wasp is a big departure from the very dark, somber Infinity War, as we get an upbeat, cheerful time with Scott Lang and Hope Van Dyne and Hank Pym. And it's a fun movie. Austin, what did you think of this fun, cheerful movie?
It is a very fun, cheerful movie, and I liked it. I enjoyed it. Like it was really, it's Ant-Man's different. We've said that since the very beginning, right? It doesn't feel like a Marvel movie. It feels like its own thing, and it does things a little bit differently that make it unique in such a way, but still hold those core values that make it go, okay, I can see why Ant-Man was at the airport in Germany and why he was 65 feet tall, right? So I really enjoyed that. And then the new Wasp suit, awesome. The whole inclusion of wings and weapons and the whole. You didn't have those when you made my suit, did you? No, I did. Just sort of sums up the Scott Lang, Hank Pym interaction as a whole, which is still hilarious any way you look at it. So I really enjoyed this movie. I love the way it ties in sort of later on. So
yeah.
Sweet. I will jump in now. I guess the first thing that's great about this movie is to see like the fallout after Civil War, because you don't really get to see that too often. But like, Scott obviously took the suit, and he did his thing, and Hank is like, nope, never again. You're not getting any of my stuff ever again. Which clearly didn't end up working out because they needed him for to save Janet, because that leads to the best scene in the movie probably by far, is when Janet possesses Scott to talk to Hope and Hank, and how Scott's all like touching Hope's face like this, and then he's holding Hank's hand, and as soon as he like Scott snaps out of it, it's like, oh, we're holding hands.
Yep.
Sweet.
Give Paul Rudd the Oscar now.
Exactly. That was great. Also, as usual, Louise, still great, still funny. He runs a business now, I guess, and he lets off his friends pretty easily that they are like dying real quick in that business. Perfect leader.
We're going under in 2 days. What? Yeah. My bad.
Yeah. Ghost, cool villain. Nice to use like how it all ties up with how Janet's included in everything, how it ties up everything. And side note, I like AJ Wu. He is a very fun guy. You know?
Absolutely. Great character.
Yes, and fun fact for the both of you, Agent Wu has been seen in the trailers of WandaVision. He will be in it, WandaVision. So
Sweet. I'm gonna enjoy
I'm
that.
excited to see how he gets in there and how what's he doing?
I
What's
don't
he
know.
doing? So
I'll take any comedy I can get.
Then.
exactly. I think, like I said, this is a cheerful movie. This is a fun movie. I like seeing Ant-Man. I like the shrinking thing is still cool. They use it, like they've got cars that shrink now. They like, those Pez candy things. They shoot one at someone. It's fun. Scott riding ants is still cool. Like you said, Ghost is a cool villain, and at I think only like an hour 50. It's the shortest Marvel movie, yet it doesn't feel rushed.
Nope.
It doesn't. It feels like they got their story. Doesn't feel like they really had any problems telling what they wanted to. It doesn't feel like they missed out on anything they wanted to say.
Yep.
I think they did a very good job at making this movie they wanted to make. And honestly, this movie doesn't have a big threat, even compared to the first Ant-Man. They're just trying to save Janet, really. And Ghost, she's not even that much of a villain. She just doesn't want to die a painful death.
Yeah.
So
Just fair. Like
Yeah.
it's fair.
It's relatable.
It's fair,
I can relate to that. Not trying to die. Yeah, that's fair.
being ripped
And-
apart by the atom,
Oh, that would suck. That would suck. But it has some cool action. I like the chase at the end with the cars and Sonny Birch and like the Wasp especially. She just kicks butt in that suit. You can tell she's been training for this her whole life. Whereas Scott's like, oh, I'm small and I punch you. But if he's like regular size, he's not so good. Yeah. Or when he has problems with his suit.
All the
Yeah.
time.
So
the whole movie, yeah.
do you guys have any more you want to say about Ant-Man and his new pal, the Wasp?
The car thing is so cool. As somebody who had a pretty massive Hot Wheels collection back in the day.
Same, yes.
Oh my goodness, this
Yeah.
was like boop 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 boop. That's what that is. It's so cool. So cool. Like if I could,
Yeah.
I'd be loaded forever if I could make my Hot
Yes,
Wheels
same.
full sized.
Literally.
That'd be so much fun.
I think
It
we
would
also
be
missed
just
a
to
really
drive
great
around in
scene
them.
too.
That
Yes.
too. That too.
Okay. Anyways, the
So
scene
we
missed,
gave
the great-
Ant-Man
no,
and the Wasp.
Step. No, time out. We skipped
Time
something
out.
really great. The
Okay,
interrogation scenes
okay.
with the truth serum. They were great.
True serum.
They were the
It's
truth
not
serum.
true serum.
It is the truth serum, man. It was
Yeah.
like,
It
those
is
scenes
truth serum.
were great. Man.
Yeah, at
Anyways,
the end.
sorry, Seb. I had to
Yeah.
get that out there. Truth serum scenes,
Very fair.
greatest things ever.
It leads to a Louis storytelling moment, which I never want to miss. I just
Yes,
want that
exactly.
man. I want him to narrate my life. Yes, Austin.
Nice. I'm just gonna put my hand up so we don't have another awkward triple interruption that just occurred there. Just for anybody at home who doesn't understand the way Luis tells stories, that's how Sebastian tells stories. Just so everybody's aware. I just thought I needed to make that point. That's all I gotta say.
I'm not
wait,
that.
time out.
I'm close though.
So by that logic, then Seb can just narrate his own life. If he wants
No,
Louise's narrative,
'cause Luis-
he just
but he has
he just narrates it himself.
He gets some music behind him, and he gets like he's got
You
his
could- you
accent,
could-
and he
you could
speaks
put-
quicker than me. It's awesome.
You can put music in your background too. You just play music in the background.
could.
Make a video. You
I
can
mean,
totally do
I'm not.
that.
I'm
Make
not
your own
as-
audiobook.
So our next
I
segment
could. Who
coming.
knows?
Sebastian
segment, Seb
narrating
reads you
everyday
books.
life. Oh God.
Oh,
Or
so-
that too.
Before that happens, we're gonna move on because you do not want to hear that.
Before
It's
that-
so boring.
So before we move on, though, we gave Ant-Man and the Wasp an 8.8. And now we move on to see the third captain we get in this new Marvel Cinematic Universe in Captain Marvel, who was teased very briefly at the end of Avengers Infinity War,
Yeah.
and then gets her big debut months before the big finale in Avengers Endgame. So, Austin, Captain Marvel.
From my recollection, I'm pretty sure I saw Endgame before this movie. So it was
Saw Captain Marvel at my house, so yeah.
it was kind of a cool experience to sort of see who she was after the fact. It made it a little bit more confusing, but it's not a huge this movie is really good, but it's sort of like The Incredible Hulk, where if you miss it, it's not the biggest deal in the world, right? It doesn't break the story by any means, right? But we take a huge jump back in time, right? We see a much younger Agent Coulson, a much younger Nick Fury, who are both fantastic, by the way. And then the Skrull and the Kree are both fantastic per usual, as we've seen in the past, right? And it's got that sort of really deep meaning to the thought of not everything's what it seems, right? Like Captain Marvel's convinced from the very beginning that she's on the right side of the war, that she's doing what's right, that she doesn't have control of her powers, and that they were given to her, right? But as the sort of loose ends start to pull themselves away, we see some really strong character development, and sort of the plot, which was going like this, all of a sudden do like a little circle and go back the other way, right? Which I absolutely loved. It sort of shifted things, shifted the landscape, and it was just a really solid movie with some really cool Superman vibes. So
Sweet. Okay, I'll jump in now. I gotta say,
Mhm.
real quick, Austin, we see a more alive Coulson.
well,
That's
that
happened.
too.
But
I
anyways,
was going to give him the benefit of the doubt at least, but yeah.
sorry, but it's true. Um, but yeah, it was nice. It was nice to see another theme besides what happens is like when it comes to your memories, your memories makes up who you are, right?
Yep.
So in Captain Marvel's case, her not remembering her past made her a Kree warrior who can do amazing things with their uncontrollable powers. But as soon as she understands who she is, and then that unlocks her true potential, which is kind of interesting, kind of cool, you know. Side note, let's see, notes wise, I gotta say, Goose, my new favorite character. I don't know, he's not my new favorite character, but he's a great addition to this movie. Um, a cat who has like what tentacles coming out of his mouth to like eat anything. Really funny, pretty great. It's also nice to see how Nick Fury loses his eye, which was not anything to do with whatever excuse he came up with in what I forget another past
Winter
movie.
Soldier.
Winter Soldier, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, he loses it
Yeah.
to Goose, not to like some
Yeah.
gunfight. Nah, it was
Yeah.
Goose.
Yeah.
And yeah, overall, Skrulls are cool. They are real life imposters for those who played Among Us before. They are as exactly them. Except it turns out they're not evil. They're just looking for a home. They're just misunderstood, which is kind of unfortunate, but you know, such is life. And
Yep.
Flurkins, which is what Goose is, also really fun to fun thing. I wish we had more of.
No kidding.
Yeah, no, I'd like to see some more Flurkins in the MCU. I hope Goose returns in Captain Marvel too. He better. There's got to be a way. Maybe Flurkins live for like thousands of years, or they
Well,
have like
he
multiple lives. Just
ate
whatever
the
we need.
Tesseract, so I'd assume he's gonna be okay.
That is also true. Um, no, I think this is a really good movie too. It gives you this character who doesn't have the biggest role in the end game, but plays a pivotal role at the end, and it gives you how she became so powerful because she's really powerful, and it also gives more backstory into Nick Fury, who I love in this movie. I've loved him in most movies, and he's a great character, but I just love seeing maybe a less cynical, a little more hopeful, a little more uh, in the action Nick Fury. Not saying he doesn't get in action in the other movies, like Winter Soldier. He has some great scenes, but um,
Yep.
he's usually like he's above the Avengers. He directs. He's the director of Shield, but here he's not yet. He's just an agent. He's doing his job, and I think Samuel L. Jackson does a great job being Nick Fury again, but as a younger version. Um, but I think this has some cool action. The whole Kree versus Skrull war is an interesting war, as we see like how war can be seen from both sides, and even the Skrulls, they admit that they've killed some Kree, uh,
Yep.
and they haven't, like, there's blood on their hands too. Talos, yeah, he says my hands are filthy of this war too. So like it's bad on both sides, but the Kree are still trying to kill innocent people who just want to find a home. So they're still in the wrong.
Yep.
Also, one note here, I like the consistency of space travel between Guardians and Captain Marvel. They use the same visuals, so I respect that, keeping it consistent.
Yep.
Seeing Coulson again is pretty awesome.
Yep.
I think what else did I have to? No, I like this movie. It's a good solid movie that leads up into one of my favorite movies. And we gave this an 8.7 out of 10. So, moving right along to my favorite movie of Phase 3, my favorite movie of the MCU, and one of my top 3 favorite movies of all time. We have Avengers Endgame. And Austin knows it, Nathaniel knows it. I'm taking this one.
Wait,
I love
wait,
this movie.
wait. I have a suggestion to make. Sebastian loves this movie.
Suggest away.
What if you go last? Because you're about to open the biggest can of all time, and like me and Nathaniel are gonna sit here and have to like open our skulls and like scratch our brains to find something you didn't mention. So
Okay, that is a fair suggestion. Austin, go.
it'd be like making me go after you for Harry Potter. That'd be impossible. Alrighty, I'm gonna take the reins
For
before
those of you who aren't
Sebastian.
aware, I love Harry Potter too.
Just a little bit. Only a little bit.
Go.
So
Go.
fantastic. 3 hours, right? So you see the 3 hours and you're like, oh my God, this is going to take me a really long time to watch. I'm going to be super bored, or I'm just going to turn this off because it's so darn long. And then you start it and you're like an hour and a half in, you're like, that felt like 20 minutes. And then you get to the end and you're like, oh no, Iron Man died. Oh wait, that was 3 hours. I apologize for anybody who hasn't seen it. That's what happens. I don't care. That's your problem, not mine. But it just does so many things so well. We have so much action. We get an Avengers Assemble. We get a Thanos death, not once, but twice. The first one is much more epic. I do enjoy watching his head roll. That was fantastic. Made my day personally. Like, it's so good. It's so good.
Or
And then
ink with the
also,
head, you know.
I really appreciate the way Captain Marvel introduces herself to the remaining Avengers or whatever you want to call them at the beginning there, because they're the Avengers, but they're not. You know what I mean? You know what I mean,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
right? They're
Yeah.
a team without a team. Same concept. But she's just like, I'm just gonna go kill Thanos. Cap's like, we tried that, didn't go so well. She's like, I got it. And then it happens. So, like, fantastic. We get a little bit of poetic justice, some really emotional scenes where both Clint and Black Widow try to jump off a mountain simultaneously. Obviously, we know how that one ends. So, overall, really, really good movie, and probably one of my top 3 in the entire 23 movie ensemble.
Sweet. I'll follow that up then. Some things that Austin didn't mention, because most of the things he did mention, I agree too. It was a really fun movie to watch. The first whole like hour and a half has to be pretty much, it's all build up for the whole final battle. But I think the best part of Endgame was the whole like final battle where everyone comes in, giant army of Thanos coming in. You know, it's everything you would want from an Avengers movie, and they delivered. So before all that happened, though, when they're trying to figure out how to go back in time, when Scott becomes super old, becomes a baby, and everything,
Yep.
that whole interaction was great. It's hilarious. Fat Thor coming in too, when he gave up on all life essentially, also pretty great because you would expect. I mean, like I feel bad for the guy. He had his chance. He didn't aim for the head. Whoop-de-doo. But sometimes you just gotta get off your butt and do something, which is what he did. It was great.
Yep.
The whole Banner Hulk combo, found that pretty funny because essentially they diluted each other. Like Hulk wasn't as crazy as he was,
No.
and at the same time Banner isn't able to be as delicate as he used to be because he's the Hulk now, or the merge or whatever. So
Smart Hulk, as the captions call him.
let's see what else. I love the whole scene when they went back in time. It gave me a whole Tenet vibe. I don't know if anyone's seen or read our review about Tenet or watched the movie when Cap fought himself essentially.
Yeah.
That was fun. It was interesting. I can do this all day. He's like, I know.
That is America's ass.
That's a
great line.
Oh yes, that's what I wrote afterwards. There were a bunch of great one-liners throughout the whole movie.
Oh yeah,
they were just filled with them. And oh yeah, final thing, Thanos' glaive thing, like the double-sided sword thing, super cool weapon. I wish he used more of because that's a super cool weapon. Yep. But overall, really fun movie to watch. So now Seb, give us your long rant about how great Endgame is.
Endgame is great. It's amazing. It's wonderful. It makes me happy. It's it's made me tear up. It's a great movie. I love this movie. I still have the cup. I still love this movie. Yes, Austin.
I would just like to I'm going
Yes,
to
Austin.
cross analysis your explanation here. I'd just like to let the jury know that you did not tear up in this film. You full out cried. We can move on now. I've made my point. Carry on.
Okay, fair enough. Let's just say after 22 movies at that point, or 21 movies at that point, I wanted to. This is what I wanted. I wanted this huge battle. I wanted the payoff to every movie they set up before. I wanted just everything. This was balls to the wall. It has fan service galore. Like you get Cap v Cap. You get that is America's ass. I can do this all day. You get every character gets their resolution. They get their, especially the main 5 Avengers. Black Widow finally is the hero she's always wanted to be. She sacrifices herself. She saves the day. She retroactively, like she ends up helping them get the stones to end up winning up against Thanos. Hawkeye gets redeemed after going off the deep end. It's I love this movie. There's action at the beginning, there's action in the middle, there's action in the end. The first half is definitely a little sad and dark, and actually the biggest surprise in this movie for me is still when 5 years later popped up. Seeing that in theaters, I never expected there to be a time jump in this movie at all, and I was like, oh my god. But I love that, and you get to see that it's had effect on the world. If you lost half the population, yeah, it'd have a huge effect on the world. People would still be grieving 5 years later. People would still not move on. So I love that it showed the repercussions of the Avengers losing. And Tony and Cap, they finally resolve their issues after Tony also gets angry at Cap when he first gets back. But I mean, he was almost dead and he was still feeling emotions. And he was like, I predicted this. I knew something would happen and you guys didn't listen. And we weren't together. Cap said they'd be together. They weren't. So, I mean, yeah, I felt for all the characters. The emotions were high. The action was great. And after 21 movies and reading comics and watching shows, I finally got to hear the words Avengers Assemble. And it was awesome. And it was amazing. And Cap picked up Mjolnir and he threw that hammer and he banged it off his own shield and they kicked Thanos's butt. I loved it. I mean, and for for WandaVision just coming up, Wanda has a great fight against Thanos. She nearly kills him. She was very close if he had not started firing on his own troops. That third act is amazing. Tony gets to bring it full circle because he is Iron Man and he saves the day. And he gets a beautiful funeral. Cap gets his send off with Peggy. He passes the shield on to Sam. There's this really cool thing they do with the credits with signatures and silhouettes and flashes from old movies. I just love this movie. 3 hours and I'm grinning throughout. I love this movie, and show how much I love this movie and how much we all like this movie. We gave it a 9.5 out of 10. And now for the, as I like to call it, the epilogue to Endgame, to Phase 3, we have our old friendly neighborhood Spider-Man back for another web swinging adventure. So Austin, as the big Spider-Man fan, the biggest Spider-Man fan here potentially, what do you think?
Well, I just like to drop, considering I don't get to do this very often, I'd like to drop a fun fact on everybody. So this movie is called Far From Home, and the first one is called Homecoming, correct? Everybody agrees on that. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
The best part is that movie 1 is a lot farther from Tom Holland's home than movie 2 is. Movie 2 is actually filmed very close to where Tom's from, whereas obviously movie 1 is filmed in DC and in the States, right? So I found that hilarious. Overall, love this movie. This is a very close second for me personally, just about took the cake. It does so many things so well. Like, I was excited for the first Spider-Man, but this one is more than that. It's, you have Spider-Man, but you also get a very, very strong plot. You get a deeper development into MJ. You get some really funny moments from Ned. You get to see Night Monkey. And then you get you get sort of an intriguing villain in Mysterio, right? Like for anybody who's read the comics, you sort of had this in the back of your head, like he's not usually good. What's happening, right? And then we sort of see is everything unravel, and it unravels and unravels, and eventually it blows up. But then it doesn't because of the footage that was captured, and all of a sudden, everybody knows who Spider-Man is, which is going to be super interesting moving forward. We have yet to see a good attempt to attack that concept as a whole, which kind of sucks, but I hope they do a really good job because we've struggled to do that in the past. So I'm super excited for that. And I'm also super excited to see if the I don't remember what his name is, but he plugs a USB into he's one of Mysterio's main henchmen, but he downloads all the software and everything for the drones, which technically would give him the ability to recreate almost all of that, right? So that's a little bit of a scary thing for the future. I'm done now. You can go ahead. That was my tidbit. Great movie.
Matt?
Sounds good. It was nice seeing the aftermath of Endgame because obviously Endgame happened. At the very beginning, they showed all the people who died, aka just Cap, Iron Man, and Black Widow, because everyone comes back essentially. So everyone but those three die. So I guess the main thing I really liked about this movie is seeing how Peter has to fill in the shoes of like Iron Man being gone, and then Tony being like, "Yo, you're my new replacement. Essentially, I trust you the most. Here's Edith. Knock yourself out. No, not knock yourself out." Liked how he almost like killed. What was his name again?
Oh,
Brad.
Brad. Yes.
Brad.
Almost
Little
sent
Brad
a
turned to
whole like
Big Brad.
yeah. That was really funny. Yeah. It was really funny how he almost killed him with a drone. Great. It was also nice seeing how they explained the blink, or what they called the blink. Essentially, it was nice seeing how some people aged 5 years and some people didn't at all.
Yep.
So it was nice. So I guess that logic means that Ned and MJ and all of them were also, in like snapped away because they're all the same age.
Yep.
I guess that's lucky.
Convenient.
Yeah.
Convenient. One might say yes.
Yeah. And then Mysterio is a really cool villain. I had vague knowledge about Spider-Man. I always had an idea that Mysterio was a villain, like in the comics. So I was like really confused, as Austin said, that he was a good guy. And then the whole reveal at the end with all the visual effects. Gotta say the visual effects for his it fits his character, right? All about illusions and everything. Yeah, super great. And overall, I really enjoyed this movie. Seb.
Well, as a Spider-Man fan, I really enjoyed this movie. Like I said, love Spidey, and I love this. Like, this is probably my favorite Spider-Man movie, and one of my top 5 favorite Marvel movies as well. Like, I think there's some great action, some great comedy, brings it back to that teenage point of view.
Yep.
It does a good job setting up Phase 4 with a lot of things that they're like, here's to come. You see some stuff with the Skrulls. You see some stuff with more for Spider-Man, but J. Jonah Jameson and just his identity being revealed. So it sets up things for a lot. Spider-Man gets to make his own suit, which was cool. I like the suit he makes. Mysterio, really cool bad guy. Never thought he would be. He wears a fishbowl on his head. I never thought they'd be able to do that cool in live action, but they did.
Yeah.
And by hands down, his fight with Spider-Man at like 2.5, like midway point ish, where it's like 6 minutes of his illusions just attacking Spider-Man, and Spider-Man gets beat up, but it's cool. And I mean, it's right out of Spider-Man comics.
Yep.
So and the end battle's cool. You get some Nick Fury, which is Nick Fury. He had 3 movies in 2019. Good on him.
Yes.
So
Nick Fury gets paid for those movies.
Yeah. Well.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah. He doesn't get a dime. No, but this is a really good movie, and it's a great way to end Phase 3. Like I said, it feels like an epilogue. It shows how it affected real people. Again, kind of like the beginning of Endgame did, but after the fact, after they've saved the day, how they're still dealing with it. And I think it does a really, really good job of it. And so overall, we gave Spider-Man Far From Home a 9.4 out of 10. Now, to move on to this week's Phase score, we gave Phase 3 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe a 9.0 out of 10. And now for a drum roll, please. Drum roll.
Not sure why you said this
We
week's phase
gave-
score, but
Yeah, well, for Phase 3. We gave, for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, all three phases together, we gave it a score of 8.8 out of 10. So, boys, just some brief thoughts on the Marvel Cinematic Universe. What'd you think? 23 movies. Did you love them? Did you hate them? Somewhere in the middle.
Okay, well, I'll start because technically I haven't ever seen any of these movies up until today, or not today. Sorry.
we
This
watched
time we
them
ran
all
through them.
today.
Yes. Yeah, 24 hours straight. No,
Yeah.
I don't think there's more than 24 hours of footage anyway.
couldn't do
like,
it.
I don't think I can do it in one day.
There's
Gotta
23
say-
movies.
Yeah, I gotta say, really enjoyed the whole series in general. Side note, I did watch Endgame way before, like I watched Endgame when it came out, but I didn't watch any of the movies. Gotta
Yep.
say, super confused during Endgame. I mean, I knew all the memes and then all the people were dead, but wasn't the same. I gotta see all the references and everything, which was fun. Everything makes more sense after watching every single movie, and yeah, it was an enjoyable journey.
Absolutely. Well, I'd have to agree with all that. This is probably pretty close to my third time through everything. I've seen more than a few of those movies 4 or 5 times. I know I saw more than a couple movies in theaters with Sebastian at least twice, which to some people may sound ridiculous, but his stats of movie theater numbers are so much worse. So definitely don't ask him. But like, this is the best. This is it. Like, we have not seen a series that can put it together for this many movies and maintain a quality and also like not lose the connection, right? Like DC's tried it. We've seen a couple other that have tried it, like 3 movies, 4 movies, and you sort of lose the disconnect, right? You sort of lose the character solidity or literally anything, right? But this doesn't do that. This flows, it connects, it makes sense. And most of these movies can stand on their own, which makes them so much fun. You can just flip on the TV and watch one of 23. And if you've seen them all at least once, it makes sense. Or you can enjoy them on your own. Like Nathaniel said, he saw Endgame on its own. Definitely probably confusing. Definitely not one I would suggest you watch on its own. But what are you going to do? When you got to watch movies, you got to watch movies. So overall, I really enjoyed the whole thing through and through.
Yeah, like Austin said, for me, this isn't my first time through. I think at minimum, I've seen each one of these 4 times. So I don't know each individual movie. So except maybe Incredible Hulk, I think I've only seen that 3 times. But everything else, like 4 to 5 times.
Yeah.
But I love them. I still love them. I still enjoy the characters, enjoy the plot, enjoy the action, and look forward to what they set up for the future movies that are coming after this and the Disney Plus spin-offs. I'm really, this for the most successful movie series of all time, you'd think it'd be pretty easy to like them, and it is. They're very enjoyable. They're very action-packed. They're funny. They do a great job at doing their job. They are entertainment and they are entertaining. They are good movies that I never thought I'd ever see happen. Never thought I'd see Iron Man, Spider-Man, and Captain America in the same movie with Hulk and Thor. Like, never thought I'd see an Avengers movie, especially one that counts down to things or that is built up by other movies. Like, never thought I'd see that. So I love this. I love the MCU, and I'd thank you all for joining us for our Marvel Cinematic Universe review. And I'd like you to check out next week when we have our 2 videos on the first 2 episodes of WandaVision. So to everyone who watched, thank you. Use that like button, click that subscribe button, and click that notification bell to receive notifications about future videos. And from everyone from the Prairie Grown Reviews team, see ya.